Mute everybody. Hello to everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so Happy New Year, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen like I always do. There we go. How's that? Can you see that? So one of the things I was thinking about as we get closer to the year, and there's just so many things that happen in this past year, and I always want to try and evaluate. And I thought, maybe we should talk about evaluations. How do we look at things? What can we do to make this next year even better? And that's kind of where we're going to. So I put evaluating this past year. How did you measure up? I'm still working on that part for me. These are some of the things I think about when I start thinking about how the year went. I mean, do you look at it as a whole? Give me some feedback, folks. We can actually have other people show up on this. Do you look at it by the month, like January, February, March, or do you look at by the events that happen, like maybe when somebody missed a cruise or something like that? I look at that time frame when I missed that boat. Sometimes we look at it as our job or the money that we're dealing with, personal growth, relationships, trials. What do you think? Go ahead and unmute yourselves and give me some suggestions.
Tom,
Tom?
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking you look at all of it.
I look at what?
All of those. You would look at what happened monthly, different events, your personal growth, what relationships moved, changed, what trials that you maybe faced and kind of come through. I would think you would look at all of it.
Linda, were you going to say something?
Yes, I was going to say I have a few to add that I looked at. First of all, my business expansion, and what I was wanting to do is expand on the coaching side, and that's why I'm looking at the body code. But also partnerships. Adding to my business expansion would include partnerships, and one really important one is I manage my health. And how, I look back because, I'm challenged with allergies and sensitivity. So, how did I do this year in managing, my health in that area specifically?
Okay. Anybody else have something that they would like to put in there? I've got more than this, but I thought, if we look at this, because everybody looks at it differently. For example, men look at, we've talked about this before with time frames. If you tell me this happened to you when you were 41, I look at it and I'm going, I don't know what the heck happened in 41. But if you tell me that was 2000, the year 2000, I'm going, oh my gosh, of course, this happened and this happened and this happened. Now, if you talk to most women, they will look at it as they want to know how old they were, because they go, I was 41 when I had, hopefully not 41, but I was 35 when I had this child, or I was 23, and they remember those dates by the point of view that you come from. So that was curious to me to see. I do the same thing. These are the ones that I would look at and would analyze. And a lot of times what I do is I put it on a spreadsheet if I get this far. And that's why I always want to encourage everybody to take a look at this. So what would you change there in many different formats, especially in the happiness factor and things like that? You might look at it where you want to, if you're goal setting and you would go out 5 years, actually what you normally do is you take it out, where would I be in 10 years? And then you split it in half, and then where would I be in the one? And you kind of go backtrack as far as creating any goals and stuff like that. But I think you could do the same type of thing with this, the timing of an event, something you did. What would you change in this last year that may have made a difference? For me, I keep using the same thing. If I would have looked a day earlier on the cruise, I wouldn't have been sitting in my house when I was supposed to be on the boat. And I look at that, and the cost of that cost me probably an extra $800. I could have saved some money. I could have spent more time with you lovely people that were on the cruise. There's many things. I think that another interesting one was something you said. Now, a lot of times I think about that and I'm going, if I had only known what I said, what I was going to say, or the reaction that somebody was going to say or react to, maybe I could have changed the relationship. I could have done a lot of different things. This last year, or last week, or 2 weeks ago even, I did not live up to what somebody expected me to do. And I didn't realize, did I already mention this before? I don't think so. Somebody I've cared deeply about and I've worked with for a long time, and they contacted me specifically to work with this other person, and I did, and I didn't follow through the way I should. Next thing I know is, the first time I even noticed I had an issue was when I watched 16 appointments disappear from my calendar. 8 for each one of these people. And I thought, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I say? What was it? And they, the person I've been working with for years said, well, I can't work with somebody who doesn't keep these promises, or once we've made an agreement. And quite frankly, I didn't remember everything. Had I handled that one particular situation differently, had I had a little less fuzzy memory, it would have made all the difference in the world. Now, that I really didn't care about the fact that I wasn't doing the sessions. That was not the issue. The issue was that I hurt somebody. I failed to follow through. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So promises you made, that was a promise that I didn't realize or didn't remember that I had made, and there was some time that went by and I handled it incorrectly. Hopefully I've fixed it. Or at least will keep that relationship. They can do whatever they want to do, but I don't ever want to let somebody down intentionally. Situations you should have avoided. How many of those have we ever hit? I remember when I first got married and I went to visit my wife's in-laws, or my wife's parents, or my in-laws. So I get there and nobody told me what I should say and what I shouldn't say. And I was there talking happily along with my father-in-law. He's a great communicator, and he asks lots of questions, and he always has a nice smile on his face. And somehow we got into politics. And I just assumed that he had the same beliefs as I did. And pretty soon I noticed that there was nobody else in the room. Everybody had left the room and left me alone in there. And that's when he pounced. And I learned my lesson. And since then, it's been, decades. But the thing is that we just don't talk about certain things. And that was situations, had I had more information, I would not have walked into that. Looks like I put promises you made and promises not kept. I think that I meant that on a personal basis. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, Tom, one of the things, this is David, I'm still doing a lot of practicing and things because I'm not quite certified yet, just about ready to get things turned in. But the question is often easy to say that you want to work on somebody and then they get their expectations up, and you just have to follow through with that. That is just so important, because that may be that person that could have, passed your word on to somebody else saying, this is a great person, you need to talk to that person. So I don't think you could take any chances with anybody. You just got to always make sure that you pay attention to those details and make sure that you're, following, like you said, following through with your promises, or either that or don't make them at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's also, being truthful and not trying to avoid things. Let's go ahead and see what's the next one. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, how much do you think your past affects you? I want you. This is a matter. Think about this, folks. This is not a true confessions type thing. This is more of, I want you to just think about that. Your memories, your relationships, your trust of self and others, job and money, social life, health, clarity of direction, your reality, which can be very interesting sometimes. And that, you think about all these things build you. I talk about the 5.5 parts of you. That's for the ultimate healers, you've got access to this stuff. But we talk about the consciousness, the subconscious, the ego, the inner child, and the keeper. And all of those combined build the half part. which is your identity and personality. So you think about that. Each one of them has a part that helps to create what you are, you know, what affects you. Create your personality and your identity. You think about that. That's a big thing. Let's go ahead and pop forward. The question is, what is reality? You know, and I always am amazed at, everybody has their own interpretation. So y'all go to the same party. We are at a great party, and we're all there having a good time. And afterwards, you start to interview people and say, what did you think of that party? Oh man, that was so awesome. I met some of the coolest people. You talk to another person. Oh, it was horrible. Nobody was there. I can't believe that. I even wasted my time. Another one, oh, the food was phenomenal. Everybody has a different reality of what the same experiences that we're having here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody agrees on that, because
Yes.
it really does change what your reality is. And you know, I've got a grandson right now. I will admit that we're on the edge, folks. We have been babysitting our 4 grandchildren. Our former daughter-in-law decided that she was going to dump her, well, she was going to let us watch the kids for a week. So from Friday until Friday. Now, their father, who lives with us, does have a job, so he's got to go to work. And I have a job, and Laurel has a job. And the question is, what happens? Well, Laurel ends up babysitting because they are her grandchildren. It's, you know, it's her son. And I do need to, I'm the one that brings the money in, so I have to work. And so she's sometimes stuck with these 4 kids. And our son doesn't get home till like 7, 8 o'clock at night. He leaves at 5 in the morning. I can't believe this job he works at. But the kids are there. Now the kids, let me describe just a little bit. We have ages 3 through 10. And there's 4 of them. And number 10 is a special needs child, which you cannot take your eyeballs off of. And so you sit there and you look at him, and I don't know how I'm going to remember this in the future, but he's got quite a little operatic voice. He likes to sing. And I think that if he could have a little more guidance, he could put him in a boys' choir, and he would do phenomenal. But he likes to take the phone and listen to the Hallelujah chorus with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and sing Hallelujah, Hallelujah. And he's quite a good voice, but not when you listen to it for 5, 6 hours. And because he's special needs, he continues to, we always have to tell him, turn the phone down. And I'm in there doing a session, and I can hear him all the way out there because that voice just goes through. And you can't turn your back on him. The other 3, quiet, there are no problems. And we love these kids, but it's going thin. Then we just got a phone call saying, oh, I can't come get the kids on Friday. You have to keep them till Sunday. And we're like, okay, so how do we deal with this? What is the reality? And you look at each person who's involved. You know, my grandson, who has his own reality, who thinks that grandpa's grumpy. and sometimes he's okay, especially when he takes him in a car for a ride. And every one of them has a different opinion of what their reality is and what it should be. So we are all in the same thing. I just want you to realize that that's something that we do have, that we build. So we create our own realities, and this is kind of a little deal. We allow decisions to be made without all the facts. How often does that happen? And we are still infant beings. You know, even though we're here and we might be old on the face of the world, in many ways, we are just infants. And you think about what we allow to happen to us in our daily situations. We use babysitting as an example. We did not expect that. We did not really sign up for it. We agreed to it. But, you know, there's a lot of factors to this, and we're also affected by invisible forces around us. I'm not just talking about entities or radio waves or whatever else we have, but there's so many things that are going on that we feel like right now we're being taken advantage of by this former daughter-in-law, and her mother gets involved, and all these things, and you go, what the heck is going on? What is really going on that we need to be able to control? So yeah, what abilities do we possess to change and learn? What are we really dealing with? Personal accounting to see where the ledger really points to. How many times have you thought you were just fine and all of a sudden you get a thing from the bank saying, hey, we got an overdraft? Or you sit there and you go, I don't know where I am. I'm lost. And you can use this in any way if you want to use a GPS or if you wanted to do a map or whatever. But you need to sometimes sit down and do a personal accounting and figure out what's really happening. What is the reality according to somebody else's opinion? I still have checks. I can't be out of money. There's that way of looking at it versus, you look at your account and you're going, oh, okay. And you think about it. Here's something I've always been amazed by. If you get this phone call and you go, yeah, that $10,000 went into that account. I'm feeling good. I feel wonderful. I can drive down the street. I don't have that pressure. And then you check it and the same exact thing. You're driving down the same piece of road. Nothing has changed around you. You still have the air conditioner going. Everything is perfect that way. And you find out that there's nothing left in your account, or you're getting ready to bounce something. What really changed? Nothing physically changed, but your mental opinion of what's going on. And that's what we need to be aware of, is like, I've had this feeling. We're trying to get into a house right now. So we were trying to figure out what it is we need to do. And I'm talking to the realtor again tomorrow. We haven't found the house. That's our biggest problem. But in the meantime, I'm like, I've got pressure to be out of the apartments by the 11th of February. I'm thinking, do I have enough time to close the house? Am I going to have to go stay with our kids? What is the, will this all work? Now inside, I know that I've always been taken care of. One way or the other, things always work out. But we allow those things to come in, and that shifts the balance that we have in our lives. So what do we have as priorities? What's important to you? And I think this is what we have to take into account, every one of us. And what we're really looking for is balance in our life. I think we're going to be the happiest when we have balance. But if you had to choose, which direction would you take, of the different things that you're working with? What area of your life do you feel is out of balance? And maybe that's something that we need to try and build something to do. I was going to try and build a chart for that, just so that you could look at it easy. How I always start to try and build charts. But this one, I'm going to make you think about it a little bit. So what we end up doing, and here's another thing, is to kind of do a personal vision call. We didn't really do a vision call at the Ultimate Healers retreat, did we? We talked about it, but I don't think we actually did a vision call, did we? I don't think so. So one of the things that occurred to me is that the retrieval of talents and gifts that you may have forgotten would be, or were aware of. When I do a vision call, it's usually with somebody who is, it's not a session. It's not a regular release session. It's a matter of tapping in to the subconscious and trying to figure out what is it that we can learn to help you to make your life better. It could be, am I on the right track? Now, Linda was talking about, no, we got two Lindas. I keep forgetting we got two Lindas here. So, yeah, Linda C was talking about how she has certain things that she's working with on her business. She's looking at business expansion. She's looking at coaching, partnerships, health, those types of things. Those would be situations where I would write them on a piece of paper, and then I would start asking the subconscious whether or not this is something that I should be heading in the right direction of. There may be gifts that you have that you are not aware of. And Sonia, who's not on this with us tonight, sent me a really cool spreadsheet that had a whole bunch of different gifts and talents that were on a chart. And then we'll see if we can maybe get permission to share that with everybody. Do you need a body synchronization? That's a big key. You guys know what the body synchronization, we just talked about the 5.5 parts. Well, a lot of times, one of those or multiples of them can actually be working against you. One of the third or the fourth question that you ask in that procedure is, are you helping Are you neutral? Or are you fighting? And if you have an ego that's fighting you, then it's like having the A team that's not working all together, and they're going to keep you from doing things. It might be your inner child, it might be your subconscious, it might be your consciousness, or it could be the keeper. The keeper is the part that helps you keep track of everything, your records and your connections and your relationships. So if they're against you because of something that happened in your life, then you may need to do the body synchronization. What talents or gifts do you wish to acquire? Now that is something that I hadn't thought of really before, because I'm always thinking, what ones do I already have? Well, I tell everybody a lot that when I first started doing this work, I did not have intuition. I don't think I had intuition. I didn't understand it. I didn't follow it. And then I got to think about, that is something that I have become a healer. Somebody asked me the other day, so were you always a healer? I'm going, oh, heck no. That is not something that I was. That was something I earned. And you can, by the grace of God, if you keep practicing something, I mean, you get somebody. I like to watch those YouTube where they have a piano sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, downtown. It's in a shopping area. It's maybe in a mall, and it's just sitting there for anybody to use. And I like to watch the ones where the little master will come in there and he'll sit down and just play, and then somebody else will sit down with him, and they've never seen each other before, but now they're playing a duet on the same bench. And if you haven't watched these, you need to go out there and listen to those, because some really cool stuff happens. It's all a matter of the gift and the talent that somebody has, and usually it has to be honed. It has to be developed. They talk about there was an auction that there was a violin that they were trying to auction off, and it was, what do you give me? Will you give me $25? Will you give me, 30? Somebody, buy this violin. And a man stood up and walked up there and took it and tuned it, tightened the bow, and he played unbelievable music on it. And it brought tears to everybody's eyes. And afterwards, the question was, what will you give me for this? Will you give me $100? Will you give me $200? Will you give me $300? There was no change in the instrument itself. It was in the talent, the gift, and they call it the touch of the master's hand. And so remember that you can choose what talents or gifts you'd like to acquire. In The Secret, the movie, they talk about the universe being that catalog where you can go and choose, I want one of these, I want one of these, I'd like to have this and that. And when you start focusing in on those things, that's what's going to happen. And the next one says, what do you want to bring into your life? And that's where the frequencies come in. You need to decide where the frequencies are that you're trying to acquire, where you are, and how to bring that up. And then the other one is, what do you want your life to represent? And this is your eulogy. What do you want people to remember you for? So I have a chart of life direction. I created. I will share that one with you. And I don't have time to sit it right now, but you can do a screenshot, I suppose. But I will put it together and I'll put it out there. I'll post it out there. When I do the replay, there'll be a PDF that you can download. How's that? So that way you can get this. And what part of the hero's journey are you on? Do you guys know what the hero's journey is? It's a cycle that actually most movies are using the hero's journey to create a really interesting movie. It's how the hero goes and he runs into problems, he has to solve it, and this is where he finds himself, and usually about halfway around, and there's a number of times when there's always going to be problems that come up, and you just follow yourself around. And you can go out on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but on Google, and you can Google hero's journey images. There's a whole bunch of different ones that are out there. I had the other computer out taking it, but I had to drive an hour to get down here so I could do this for y'all before we do our other event. Okay, so let's go look at this. Here is the chart that I've come up with so far. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have it completed out completely there. I've got, oh, that's kind of moving around on me a little bit. Let's see. trying to grab this thing, and I've got the gallery is showing here. I was trying to get it out of my way here for the happy factor over here on the far side. Now this is one of my cross charts. Let me explain what it is that we're doing, and then if we can see if we can get this working a little bit, we'll do a little job on Linda W. How's that? Because she's got some sickness and things that she's working with, and she wanted to be, and I don't know if this will help or not, but I figure this, a cross chart starts at the left and works its way across the chart. So you can use the same thing and without having to leave it, and yet you have multiple options about what the story can be. So we go look at this and we find out what's the current issue. Now, Linda, can we use you on this now? We'll
Sure.
practice. Okay. Well, we're going to Linda White's is the one that Wheats.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, so we're going to go. Let me tap into you, Linda. There we go. Let's see. The current issue, is it in this group here? What if it isn't? I'm really embarrassed, huh? Okay, so let's hit A, B. Okay, so she's got health and sickness. Okay, so it's the sickness that she's dealing with. I'm showing you how this works here. So we got sick as our first one, and you can do this a number of different times. So in this situation, we're going to take sick as the first one. Is there something else on the current issue? No. How is that manifesting for you? Is it on that chart? It is. A, B, opportunities. Okay, it's putting you into a mental lack, a lack of mental. Let's see, so let's go sick, a lack mentality. And the next, is there a result of this? Yes, 1, 2. Now it's showing up as humiliation.
Okay.
And is there another one on this one? Yes, so do we need to go further, redress anything? Okay, so continue to go across. So we go on the options, there's got A, B, C. I like that, suck it up. How's that one? Okay, so let's see. Actually, meditation would be a helpful thing. You following how I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the action that you should take. Okay, medical professional. I had to put that in there. So you need some drugs? No. Is it a different kind of medical professional? Yes. Is it a healer? No. Medical. So maybe I need to split this out a little bit more, but is there something else on that list? Yes. Is that just one of the answers? Okay. Is there something else? That one? That one? Okay. You could learn about a new technique. Let's see, is there another one? There is. Gratitude. You could thank others and help others. Interesting. Now she's sick right now, but this is what's coming up under this particular issue here. So, okay, so meditation. We also had medical professionals. Now, we don't always know the answer to this. And the reason I asked and put this on here, and I tested, you know, this is good for what we're doing tonight. You can modify and change this however you want. On some of my cross charts, I'll actually have more than one. Say, for example, I've got results there. Say I needed to have another column. It also included results because I had more stuff. And you could just go to that and say, okay, so, and just make a, you know, make the whole thing across there on those two columns the same topic. And I'm just trying to give you an idea, trying to open your minds up there a little bit to how this can work. The reason I like cross charts is because I can use the same chart in a number of different directions without having a whole bunch of separate charts. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing here on this one here. So we had medical professionals, and then what else did we have? We had learn. So she could do self-study. Then we had others, which is interesting. And then the other one was help others. So let's just do a test real quick. Are all of these valid actions to take with the sickness that you're dealing with? Yes. Is your sickness more than just physically being sick? It says no. Are these the underlying areas that are causing the sickness? No. And see, we do have other means of doing things. There's all kinds of modalities out there. We have the emotion code, the body code. We have the ultimate healer. We got different things that we can look at to find out what's causing it. But in this one, I wanted to know what the issue was according to our brains, how your subconscious looked at it, what it was manifesting in you, and the results. See, this is a little bit different look at things. You see the difference? Rather
Yes.
than clear, we're looking at, say, currently, where am I? The other Linda, you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Does this make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at, is there anything on the projections yet? Focus, no. So those are the big ones. Is that everything on this one? Okay, so now let's just, okay, so we ran a thing. Now, would this give you a good focus? See, this gives you a focus item that you can work with. The other thing it could give you is a really good life vision call to try and figure out what is happening that way. So do we use you a guinea pig on another one? Okay, so let's see. So we got that one. So is there something else that you're dealing with as a current issue? And the answer is yes. Is it an A? Money, yes. Is there another one of them on that column? So notice how it's only taking one thing at a time. So let's put down money. Is it manifesting something? Yes, an A, B. Dissatisfied. Well, I can understand that one. And you could call it dissatisfaction. I just didn't get it wanted to wrap if I did that. So let's see. Results. Are we going to have something in that one? No. Options? Yeah. Okay, so you can either accept it, or is there another option? Yes. You could do it yourself, DIY. Is there missing options on here? There are some missing options on here. I suppose that we could put get help on here too. I'm going to put that down here. Now, could that be an accountant? Absolutely. So with me getting ready to buy this house, I was forced to sit down and look at my finances and say, what is reality? And that was where, just like we were talking about before, having to do an accounting, I had to do an evaluation. And it didn't look as bleak as I thought it did. And the one thing about being in business for yourself is that you sit there and you go, I'm not making any money. I'm making enough money to get by and things like that, but it doesn't show on paper as well as other things do. And so it can be deceiving. You can look at it and not look at it with the correct eyes. There's, for example, with money, and I'm happy to share this with somebody if they want to know about it. Normally, the way we deal with money is we will take the money we get from our employer, we put it into our bank account, and from there, we pay our bills, we pay our mortgage, we pay our loans, everything pays out, and hopefully we save some money on the side. That cover about most everybody's, you got credit cards, you got house, you got whatever. So I thought that was pretty much the only way to do things. And then I was introduced to by some people who know something called velocity banking. Velocity banking is a concept that you just switch things around a little bit. You don't make any more money, but you reallocate your money so that it works for you. And what you do, instead of taking your money and putting it in your bank account, you actually have a line of credit. Now, that can be a credit card. It could actually be a line of credit. It could be a business, something that you put in. Because what happens to your bank account total when you pay a bill? It goes down a little bit, right? And now you'll have a restricted amount of money that you can do something else with. And it keeps going down until it gets to zero, and hopefully you get another payment in there. But if you use the credit the way banks do, what you do is you deposit those large amount of your money right into that line of credit, and everything gets paid from the line of credit. And the interesting thing is that the amount of money, say you have a line of credit of $15,000 and you make your payments out of that, you chunk in a big amount of money and you're going to take the money that you owe, which would be normally another payment. Like say, for example, you had a $500 payment you had to make on credit cards. And instead of making that payment there, now you're dumping in your full pay amount into that. You've already made that payment. You don't have to take that $500 out. Does that make sense? You put it in there. I know, it's kind of confusing. You can actually go online and look that up on YouTube and they'll explain it to you. But what it does is it gives you $500 more to work with. It also, and say you put $500 into your savings account. Well, how much money does your savings account make you? And nowadays, if you look at it, it actually costs you money to put money into savings because of the interest rate that doesn't exist and just the way that they work money. So it allows you to work and get rid of debt much, much faster, and you never made a cent. And it gives you more cash flow. That's what they're talking about. So I advise you to go out there. But the difference, the big thing about it was one way of looking at things that I grew up with, we learned from, they don't really teach us in school, but we learn that. And then somebody who actually does know about it, it changes the whole paradigm. Same amount of money, and you can actually pay your house off in 10 years versus 30 years. Just by the way that they work it, and you get rid of all your debts. And it's a pretty cool system. So that's what I'm talking about, is that by having these things, maybe we can look at things a little bit differently. Okay, so we're going to work at, let's see, what else? Was there something else on this for money? Yeah, okay, so that was that one. What's the actions that you can take? Well, that's where the healers come in. Okay, that's where you check your blocks and things like that. Is there something else on that one? The dreams, okay. Creating your dreams. What does that do for us, you know?
Gives us a goal.
It changes your frequencies.
Yeah.
So you know, just like I was talking about before, you know, you're able to understand a concept at this level, and as you get that level higher, and you start to bring those frequencies in, it raises you up, which gives you more options, and which gives you more options. So dream, that makes this a big difference. There's another one on here. No, not there. Is there something there? No, something there. No, okay. So that one tells us a little bit more about money. So right now we know that money, you're being dissatisfied because of the money situation. You can either accept it or you can make a change. You can get help. You can contact a healer, dreams. Okay, so I'm not giving you a news flash here, but it's nailing it down a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Kind of defining it a little bit here. Is there another one we can work on with you along that? Yes, okay, so it's an A, C, D, E. Well, look at that. We got a self-worth thing. Now, I already know the value of Linda to me, which is not even a question in my mind. But I think I value Linda more than she values Linda. So that's the issue. So what's this manifesting? It's manifesting conflict. Is this internal? External. It's internal conflict. Okay, so then the next one on here, is there more on that one? There is actually more manifestation. Let's see, so is it in that one there, that one there? It also creates a poor me. So feeling sorry for ourselves. Poor me is shorter, so I put it in here. Let's see, is there another one on here? No. Okay, so let's go to results. It's causing you to be off balance. Next one, is there something else on there? No, pretty much. Well, there's a hidden one here. Is it on this chart? Okay, so what are we dealing with? It's got a little hidden part of self-hate. Okay, is there something else on this one? No. Options. Two different things show up. Forgive and gratitude. Now, the biggest thing about the happiness factor is allowing yourself to be who you are. We're looking for, remember, we got 4 different things. I've said it before. We got 4 different versions of happy. One is unhappy. And I found myself unhappy this last week. I don't know if it's because of kids or not, but I was unhappy. And then the second one is happy for bad reasons, which means that you allow the influence to come from like addictions or something else like that that's not really beneficial for you, but you use that thinking it will make you happy. The third one is happy for good reasons, which is allowing your job, the money, somebody else, external sources that it can be good to help make you happy. And then the fourth one is happy for no reason, which is coming from within. So that's the differences on that one. Okay, so we got the gratitude part of it. Is there something else on this one we need to put on there? Does that make sense to you, Linda?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Are we revealing anything new to you?
No.
No, but are we clarifying it a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, so do you see where this chart can help? Let's see, is there another one? There is. I think we could do this with anybody and get the same thing here. I got some anger in here. Okay, so what's it manifesting? Invisibility. Now, that's where you talk and you ask yourself, so what does invisibility mean? Is it you're hiding? No. Are you not being seen? Yes. Is that on purpose? No. From outside sources? No. Is it from within? Are you not seeing yourself? No, that's not it. You see yourself, yes, but you're invisible to others. Okay, invisibility to others. So this is asking a few qualifying questions. Is there something else on that one there? No, what's the result? On that one, on the next one. Overwhelm. What happens to us when we're in overwhelm? We don't know what to do, right? We just kind of like, for me, I'm overwhelmed. It's almost like shut down,
Yeah.
you know, because I just can't handle it. Let's see, is there something else on that one? No. Are there options? Absolutely. A reality check. Okay, is there another one? There is. Once again, we got forgive. Next one, is there another one on there? No. Is there something in action that can be taken? Absolutely. Detox. These actually make sense, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I almost feel like my sickness is a detox in a way.
I think you're right. Here's one that just came up. I think that's interesting. Write. I think you need to write out what's going on. In my most despairing moments, like when I was losing my restaurant, I was out there on that beach and I was writing down everything that happened to me, everything that I was going through at that particular time. Because you know what? If we're doing this healing and we're working with this stuff, we're releasing it. We don't always remember the actual situation and the severity of it when we were in it. So by writing it down, it keeps a journal. And you know what? That's going to help other people. It also says life coach. Is that being a life coach? Yeah. You know, I find that most people that are healers because they had problems. Most psychiatrists are psychiatrists because they're crazy. You know, all different things. There's reasons, or they had to deal with craziness. There's reasons why people get into it. You know,
Yes.
cops, you could be cops, different things like that. So life coach, I think you have a lot to offer there personally. Okay, so that gives you 4 right there. What do you think, folks?
Tom, this is Linda Crawford.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a comment about the toxins, and then I wanted to ask you a general question about your chart.
Sure.
I wanted to make a comment to Linda about the toxin. I don't know what her illness is or what's going on in their life, but as a nutritionist, I can tell you, Linda, that your body definitely flushes out if you have toxins or bacterial infection or whatever is going on in your body naturally wants to reject it and flush it out of your system. And so that can happen in a lot of different ways. For me, as an example, I get skin rashes when I have a reaction to my sensitivities to food. So whatever you're going through, just remember your body's constantly, number one priority is to be healthy and to flush out anything that it views as foreign. That's, not natural food, chemicals that you're taking, chemicals that you're subjected to. It could be environmental, food, whatever. So I just wanted to share that with Linda in case she wasn't aware of that.
Then you had a question about the chart?
Yeah, the question about my chart is, since I've never seen it before, is...
Because I just made it today.
Oh, okay. Am I following you in the sense of the current issues, which can be something you're going through or something you're feeling?
Yep.
Is that where you start, and then depending on what you're trying to work on or identify with, is that then where you work to the right of the chart?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So when I put together cross charts, I have another one, for example, for miasms, that when I discovered that miasms, which are inherited disease energies, when I found out that disease, that didn't have to be just a health issue, it could also be a mental or a financial or a social or a relationship miasm. So those are things that miasm, I think, is the term that makes you feel like it's inherited.
Okay.
So it came from another source. This is coming to, and you think about it, when we look about this, all these things that we came up with for Linda today, and we've got, the sick, money, self-worth, and anger, those are not necessarily health issues, but they're manifesting in many ways. And I believe you're correct. She's detoxing, but she's also detoxing in other aspects.
Yes, absolutely.
So the self-worth, the conflict, and that's a conflict, that's internal conflict, and it's a poor me mentality, off balance, hate, forgiveness, gratitude. I don't care who you are. I mean, I have been through that poor me thing myself many times in my life, where you just sit there and you just are overwhelmed. And I know that I feel like I understand Linda pretty well, and I think she's pretty friggin' marvelous, but she doesn't feel that way sometimes. And it's just one of the things that she's experiencing to other people. I mean, shoot, she was at the Ultimate Healer, and a lot of people really enjoyed her insights and the things that she had to contribute. So I know that each one of us has different things. We're always going to be going through, guys. We're always going to be going through stuff that's crap. Always. Because you know what? Right in the scriptures, it talks about how if God loves you, he's going to test you. And you should be, and where was it? I think I mentioned this last time. It was in either Peter or James, that talks about how you should be grateful for your temptations. And I'm going, man, how many years did I fight this stuff? How many years did I fight the bad side of me? In fact, that could be something that Elsie would put another column on this thing, where it talks about the shadow side of yourself.
Yes.
And so that's a big part that we just have to be able to embrace and to accept. So, I don't know, did you guys find this helpful?
Very helpful. Now that I understand it, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I sit there and I look at charts, and I guess ideally I would go back through this. Since I just put this together last night, I'd say probably about 2 in the morning, and started putting this in. I added stuff as I went through and thought of things. And I try to organize it so that you start on one side and you work your way across.
Right.
And that's what I like about cross charts. And it's not something that anybody else really uses. And so this is something that's unique to what I do. It doesn't always work for everything, but I like to do it when I can. But I just start brainstorming, and I put things in there, and I look at the topics that I have, and I switch these around a little bit. And this will be massaged, this will be changed probably a little bit, but I think it was great for what we're trying to accomplish tonight. And the other thing you need to remember is that you need to have something to work with but your body will use whatever you have available to help you through this. So let me put another shameless plug in there for the MasterMind Summit that's coming up. Talk to me if you are interested in coming or can come or whatever the situation is. We need some more people in there. I think there's just so much that can be accomplished. We got a great spot. I'm really excited about the place that we're going to do this. Let me know what's going on. I am doing a 4-day Malaysia trip in March, which I'm excited about. And then who knows, we're going to see if we can't turn that into an Australia edition end on it. So just cover some of these things. And you know, it's networking, guys, that makes all the difference. So anything else I can answer for you before we I let you go? Oh, you guys are hard tonight. So, all right. Well, love you all. I appreciate being able to be here with you all tonight, and we will talk to you soon. All right, y'all. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank
for
you.
putting us all
Tom,
together.
we love you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate
Bye.
that.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.